Hey everybody, time for another build and gameplay walkthrough, this time on the Loewenhardt. The game that you'll be seeing later is one that I already posted just without any commentary. It's one of my better games in this ship, so I think it's worth analyzing and going over. On top of that, I have a lot of work coming up in clan battle, so probably will not be playing that many randoms. But I get a lot of questions about the German CVs, given that I'm one of the higher ranking players as far as PR goes on the NA server. So happy to answer your questions. So going over the ship itself, right? Um, for the planes, you have the typical AP rockets, except these are essentially the tier 8 rockets that you get on the Parseval, more or less. A lot more pen than the Vaser rockets. You can actually make use of these. The torps, absolutely garbage. These are a stopgap when you don't have any other thing to use or you're just desperate. The torps themselves go very slowly and you don't want to mess with them if at all possible. And then finally, the bombers. I absolutely love these things. They're fast, they hit hard, they start fires, they do massive amounts of damage. You can hit DDs with them, you can Citadel cruisers with them, you can pen and light fires on battleship. These are your bread and butter. So, going to the modules. Air Groups Mod 1, straightforward. Engines Mod 1, straightforward. So here is the spicy pick, is the secondary battery mod. I take this in all my German CVs, and I know some people don't like taking this on the Loewenhardt. I just don't see any reason why you would take anything else. You don't need the attack crafts extension. The torpedoes, don't even touch the torpedoes. And the bombers, you have more than enough time. So I know some people say like, oh, the torps are so slow. Don't even mess with the torps. Don't fuck with them, right? You want to go for secondary bad mod because once you pick up AFT, they go to 7.6, okay? These don't have the improved Graf Zeppelin and the other German CV dispersions, but unlike the tech tree German CVs, you do have the 150s, and these can actually do some damage when they hit, and you'll see in the game when they do come into play. The mod plus AFT, which we'll discuss later on, gives you enough reach with the secondaries to scare away some DDs and get you out of some sticky situations. But going back up to slot 4, bomber HP, these bombers are your bread and butter. This is what you want to use the most. Then we have our German commander. I use Lutjens and this build on all of my German CVs. Tier 1, all the plane skills, straightforward. Tier 2, you want to take the squadron speed. We're not even messing with the torps. The Loewenhardt, the torps are near worthless. And on the other German CVs, the torps are already fast. Tier 3, extra health, extra plane armor. And then moving on to tier 4, you have AFT. So makes your AA a little bit more spicy for those close-ins. And it gets your secondary battery up to 7.6. And Concealment Expert. I love taking this whenever possible on CVs. Gets you nice and close. Helps you survive. And if you survive, you can get damage. And then moving on the flags. Of course, we have to take our AA. For the CV sniping and just because. And of course, we take the secondary flag. It helps out the dispersion a little bit, faster reload, and reaches out that range. And then the typical fire, flood. I know we say we don't use torpedoes a lot, but you might as well have the flag when you do use them. And then back to the fire. And then coming on to this next row, consumable time, ship speed because you got to get to that forward position, and fire extinguishing time just because you tend to take more fires from shells rather than DDs getting up close. Without further ado, we will get into the game itself. I think it's my highest damage game at tier 6 and we absolutely carry this one, so I figured it was worth posting with a commentary. Hope you enjoy the game. Okay, starting off, we are top tier. We take a quick look at the enemy ships. and we immediately get our CV moving. Always want to make sure your CV moving one way or the other. You don't want to be where they expect you to be as far as CV sniping. Even at tier 6, you could have a DD come up the middle. You could have the CV trying to play games. Just don't mess with it. I also say 6 battleships. Oh boy, I'm excited for this game. Turns out to be the case. We're opening up with rockets here. I typically open up with rockets and German CVs to try to get those hits for Lucians, and a lot of times we can catch a cruiser relatively broadside. On top of that, we're getting the scout. I obviously see this nice cruiser that can eat some citadels. Trying to get that horizontal aiming bar right at the waterline as they go broadside. And we pick up a sit and some pens. Only 5k, but every damage adds up to that good farm number. Get out of the AA. We see there's a lot there. Come back around. Just want to see if we can do another strike depending on how much he's turned. He has turned, he's smoked. So we're going to push through and try to get this Omaha. The Loewenhardt absolutely loves Omahas. So even though he's angling there, we still get 2 sits. So that on that first run, we're still at 11,500 damage. If that Omaha was more broadside, then we're looking at more damage. I told the team to stop running from C. I'm trying to get to the forward position at G9 and just let them come into me. I'm feeling spicy at this point. I say, screw it. I'm going anyway. I'm going with the torps here just because I don't want to lose my bombers to that clumps of ships. And the torps themselves, yes, they're bad, but they're serviceable against battleships. And what you want to try to do, if at all possible, waste them a bit early when you're dealing with ships. I was trying to go for this New York here. He wasn't as far forward as I thought, so we're still going to go after the Omaha. Ideally, I would have gone after New York, maybe gotten a flood, came in with the HE bombs for the permafire. So still managed to get 1 torp hit. As you can see, doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and are immediately coming back with the rockets. As you can see here, we're already at 15 hits total, so less than 3 minutes in, and we are halfway to getting that improved plane regeneration, which will keep you in the game. Trying to be sneaky here on the Monticello. Don't really know the name. He turns in. Man's gotten smart, but we still get the reset. At this point, I realize, hey, I'm kind of in trouble. I just need to do what damage I can and maybe let my secondaries have some fun. I am spotted by the enemy planes, but none of the enemy ships have a line on me at this point. So I still keep charging in. It's much better than stopping, and I'm going to try to turn into the inside. Once again, Omaha loves AP rockets, or maybe I should say the AP rockets love the Omaha. I shift my autopilot to try to go in. As you can see, my autopilot's like, no, we have to back up and turn in and do all this other stuff. But I am confident that I can take out the Omaha here. So there we go. Less than 4 minutes in. Pick up our first kill of the match, already at 30,000 damage. So, probably should use these earlier, but now we're coming with the beloved HE bombs. Very fast aiming time. You don't need improved aiming time as a captain skill. And here we have this guy barely moving. As you can see how small and how quickly that reticle gets. We get 2 hits, some nice damage and a fire. And we are coming back out to try to get him. He is our biggest threat right now in our super forward position. Hopefully keeping it real will not go wrong this time. Luckily, our team is somewhat close in support, so this guy's not necessarily trying to charge me down. Once again, he's angling, but more importantly with those rockets, even though we weren't picking up a whole lot of damage, now we have air superiority. So less than 5 minutes into the game, and our planes are already regenning faster, which will help out later. We're full on torps. Trying to get this New York here. I'm kind of concerned about the Vaser dropping fighters or picking up his fighter. If that's the case and we lose torps, not that big a deal. On top of that, the New York itself is very slow, so we can pick up some ship damage and potentially a flood, which we do. Especially when you're top tier, AA doesn't do as much in this ship as it does against the Vaser. So even there, we still got off 2 successful torp drops, and we're hoping for the permaflood here. We don't get the permaflood, but our super keeping a real forward position allows us to get a nearly instant strike. I'm setting my autopilot to go forward and play ring around the Rosie, and maybe, just maybe, I can go head on with this phaser, and I pick up the permafire on the New York as well as 2 pens. With these HE bombs, you're going to get a lot of fires, the fire chance is very high, and you're going to pick up pen damage. So we're 6 minutes in, I've almost dismantled this flank. The Vaser's coming in on us, sector AA with our AFT skill and AA flag, and we start picking up some plane kills. Unfortunately, we take a bad piece of flak there, but once again, just trying to finish this guy off, and we don't really worry about our torp bombers. If they die, they die. As Val Kilmer once said. I think it was Val Kilmer. These are getting spicy, but we get to kill the New York, and now we see those 150s and all those secondary skills go to work. We just eat this guy up. Unfortunately, somebody gets a good salvo on us, but even though we started, Phaser, not horrible secondaries, and we started this fight down by a significant amount of HP, already getting crazy amount of secondary hits and just annihilating this dude. We're coming back around like, hey, maybe I need to do something, but I realized, nope, my secondaries got him. For our 3rd kill, about 8 minutes in and close quarters expert. However, now we're in the not best position in the sense that we have low health. Thankfully, if we're able to get some spots later on, we'll pick up a little bit of a heal. And also, there's no ships close to us, so we don't have to worry about it as much. And with the CV dead, once these planes are gone, we don't have to worry about it. Planes are dead. We're good. Get our autopilot going forward behind that island because we don't want something coming up the middle. And spotted. I chirp off a little bit in chat. Guess my secondaries are better. So at this point, haven't taken many plane losses, and our planes have been regenerating faster for a few minutes now. We're looking pretty healthy on our planes. Unfortunately, we're about even, maybe losing a little bit on the team. We're out the ship, but they have points. We are taking the cap though. I start the run a little bit late on the Normandy, but I still get a pen and a fire. Even with these bombs, the drop height doesn't matter as much. You're pretty much always going to pick up pens. I see this Fuso here. I think he's AFK, so I'm going to make my drop. Pick up the 2 pens and the fire. And I will absolutely say I am shameless when it comes to killing AFK targets. Just am. And the reason being is, if that's the difference between winning and losing, then I'm going to go with it. So once again, we're going back out here with torp bombers, slow battleship by itself, maybe get a flood. Normally I'd be leaning more heavily on the HE bombers, but I still have a good number of ships left. I want to save those for when I really need them, and there's no really DD out in the open where I know where he is. There's a Visby somewhere, but I'm not going to go searching for him. So we have the Normandy here, using the island to surprise him and occlude ourselves from AA. Get a nice good lead with these slow torp bombers, and we drop a little bit wider because he's turning in. There's Fuso still sitting here. We still don't have the game locked up at this point. We care about winning. Drop the load on him. Guy's AA isn't even on. We're still going to go after him. Is this fair? No, but life isn't fair, and I want the win. And so I know this Fuso is taken care of. We're going to keep going. Luckily, our team has kind of corralled them into the A cap. So we're just going to keep sitting here. but safe behind this island. Coming back with the lovely HE bombs. We pick up our 4th kill on that poor AFK Fuso. We needed him out of the game before he comes back. Normandy turning away isn't going to help. Once again, you can see how small the reticle gets. We anticipate for the turn, bombs a little twist. We get a non-pen, unfortunately, due to where it hit, but we still pick up the fire. As you can see here, 1, it's a Normandy. 2, AA isn't great. 3 is probably shot up, so we don't really have to worry about losing planes, especially with our plane health mod. And with those last 2 drops, we pick up Confederate and high caliber, and we pick up another fire. Going in for the final drop. So, Fuso by himself with those bombers. He doesn't shoot down 1. He might have shot down 1. Yeah, so he shoots down... No, he didn't shoot down any of the returning planes, and so we get back all 6. Planes are still regenning, and we're going to go try back for the finish. So for the finish, going with rockets here, in case we don't burn out the Normandy, we do. Instead, we can go for this Pensacola out here. We also haven't used rockets in a little bit, so we're trying to cycle our planes. Our plane reserves are good right now, but it's still a good habit to rotate the different types of planes we use whenever possible. That way, later on, if I really needed HE bombers, but I'd used all of them up, I'd be in trouble. So I'm trying to get around the edge of this island. We're going to speed boost here to try to get this man's broadside. And we got him. Once again, 2 sits, 5 pens, 7k. I tried popping fighters to get his fighter to lock onto ours. Unfortunately, that didn't work. We lose all of them. And now we get to come back with additional rockets. AP bombs, excuse me, HE bombs might have been a good option, but at the same time, we know that Pensacola eats pens, and he's having the turn inside to dodge the torps, which leaves him broadside to us. Unfortunately for us, but fortunately for the team, the Koenig takes him out. And now the game is decidedly in our favor, and we're just on cleanup duty. Coming back with the HE bombs, no matter what we run into downhill, we can do some decent damage on it. New Mexico or Ismail, we both get HE bombs target, and if we manage to find that Visby, who's now just spotted, we're able to take him out. Unfortunately, this game, only 1 DD per side, so didn't get to see too many HE bomb hits on DDs. With those, you just, when you drop them as low as possible. It's a small reticle. If you get 1 hit, 4k damage, 2 hits, 8k plus damage, plus all the incapacitations and the fires. They're absolutely devastating. So now, with the New Mex dead, we have the option, Visby or Ismail. Gonna go after the Ismail here to just try to maximize our damage. Dodge some flak. And only get the 1 pen. Dropped a little bit too early. Coming back around for the 2nd strike. The one drawback of the HE bombs is if you don't get 2 good bomb hits, it's kind of a waste of your DPS. But they have strong AA, we get off 1 more bomb. But you do get the pen and the fire, bumping us up to around 180,000 damage, which is pretty respectable in a tier 6. Our planes shoot down some of his planes, gives us a defense expert and some more XP. Overall, just while we're flying to the Ismail here with our torpedo bombers, highly recommend this ship. It's just by far the strongest tier 6 carrier. I ended up using it in clan battles last season when it came out to great effect. We ended up finishing 2nd place NA, and I like to think I played some small part of that. It's versatile. Even when you're bottom tier, you can still be very effective with damage and spotting. So once again, go for the Ismail here with the torps. He's turning in, and so we drop a little bit further out. I know I said the torps aren't great, and they're not, but you can still be effective with them, even without any kind of speed increases. They're good enough at what they do against slow ships if you know how to use them right. Finally, we pick up the kill, we point them out, and we pick up the win. On the whole, really solid game. One of my best games in the Loewenhardt. A whole bunch of achievements, 6 kills, 187,000 damage.